Hello, this is Angela with Parker's Hausfrau. Welcome back to the next video in my series on how you wash and prepare a raw sheep's fleece for spinning. Farther down the road, we're going to get to actually spinning it and knitting it into a garment. But this quick series here is just about how I prep the raw wool so that it is in a good state in order to spin it. Now the wool I'm working with today is Southdown Baby Doll, and it was given to me. I've never spun this kind of wool before. It has a very short staple. I'll show you here. That's all the longer the fiber is, so a little less than 2 inches. It's quite a short staple, and I know some modern spinners kind of turn their nose up at it because they think it has a shorter staple. It's not great for spinning, but it actually was the British standard, considered the best kind of sheep's wool for spinning, particularly for things that you want to be somewhat felt resistant, because Southdown Baby Doll is much less likely to felt than other types of wool. It was traditionally used very much for socks and garments like that. And until merino wool came on the scene, Southdown Baby Doll was seen as a dual purpose sheep. Nowadays it's mostly seen as a meat breed, but the wool is very good for spinning, and I'm excited to try and spin this because I've never worked with it before. So we're just going to see what happens and see how it turns out in the end. I love trying different kinds of wool and different kinds of fiber, alpaca and camel and poodle hair from my dogs, and just seeing what that process is like. Because for me, for spinning, it is about the craft of it, the process of it, and I like varying that up whenever possible and trying new things. So today we're going to wash the wool. I did a video on how to skirt a raw fleece and a video on how I prep the wool to get it ready for washing. Today is wash day. The reason it's wash day, as maybe you can hear by my next door neighbor's air conditioner cranking, it's very hot and sunny. So when I wash my wool, maybe I do it a little bit differently than other people. I only process wool in the summer and I do it outside. I know a lot of people use their bathtub, and for me, wool is really rich in lanolin. It's a grease, and you don't want that down your pipes. I don't pour bacon grease down my pipes, and there is a lot of lanolin that comes off of a sheep. I live in an old house. I don't want to send that into my plumbing. So for me, I wash outside. It keeps the barnyard smell out of the house, and it means that I can process everything out here. I have lots of room in my backyard, and I have a little rack that my partner rigs up for me where I can dry the fleece outside in the sunshine. It dries very quickly, and then I can get on with combing or carding it. So when I wash my wool, I have multiple steps that I engage in. The first one is rinsing. A lot of people wash their wool straight off. I do a rinse first, particularly when the fleece is pretty darn dirty. I feel like a lot of dirt comes off of it with just room temperature water. Let me show you how I do that rinse step. I know a number of people skip it and just go straight to a regular wash with hot water and a soap or detergent. I really prefer to soak my wool for about half an hour if it's quite dirty. I find that this makes it easier to get it fully clean after 1 or 2 washes if I do a pre-soak. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my wool. Here's that baby doll with the short staple, and it's pretty darn dirty, and I'm just going to put it in the water. Now, again, my partner drilled holes in the bottom of this tray so that it can completely fill with water and it's easy to drain. Now you may notice as you're putting it down that obviously the wool is going to be hydrophobic. You just push it down with your hand and it will absorb the water. And then I want to repeat the same thing with every basket, and I just stack them in together like this. And I find that kind of keeps them organized and helps keep it from floating up out of the basket. You don't need too much water in here, just enough to cover however many baskets you're going to use. You don't need to waste filling the tub up to the top. Now this water won't go to waste at the end. I will use it on my plants in my garden. This will be a nitrogen-rich water source that I can put underneath my berries, etc., etc. So now I have all 4 trays carefully submerged, stacked in together, and they're just gonna soak for about 30 minutes. And I'm not gonna agitate them. When you start to agitate the wool is when you get felting. Now, baby doll is a low risk for felting compared to other wools, but I don't wanna end up damaging the fibers, so I don't wanna agitate. This is just a soak. I find that it does really help to do this on a sunny day where the sunshine can warm the water, and I do it outside. Already you can see how brown the water is versus when I put it in. This is just a soak, no agitation, no soap, no hot water at all. Now, it's okay to use room temperature water for this round, but for the next round, I do need hot water because I want to remove a bunch of the lanolin from the wool. All right, so I want to lift straight up all 4 trays at once and not agitate. Okay, so now that I'm done draining these, I don't want to shake them or do anything else other than let the dirty water drip off. Now I'm going to get ready to wash. So after the initial rinse, we move on to the first wash. And this involves an electric kettle, getting really hot water, my bucket or storage tub that I use outside, and dish soap. People use whatever the name brand best degreasing dish soap is you can get. I know some other people use some products like Power Scour and things like that. I personally think that Dawn dish soap works really darn well at cleaning the fleece. I don't like to strip all of the lanolin out of it. I love when there's just a tiny bit left, so I don't want to over process it or over strip it. I want enough left that it makes my hands feel soft when I'm spinning, and there's a little bit of water resistance left in the garment. Now I'll add a caveat, that's because I'm not dyeing this wool. I'm going to be spinning it. This is a gray fleece. You can see there's a little bit of brown and a little bit of heathering to the fleece. That's natural. I'm not going to be dyeing this. I don't mind if there's some residual grease because I'm not worrying about whether it takes up dye or not. Now, I wash my fleece in sections. I know some folks put the whole thing in a bag and throw it in their washing machine. Again, I don't want that greasy lanolin in my washer. I don't want to funk up my washer. I prefer to wash mine outside. I also prefer to wash some of it in baskets like this, and some, as you saw in the last video, prepped into trays of locks. And for me, that means I need to wash by hand. It makes it really easy to comb and spin those locks when I'm done. And I think the little bit of extra effort at the beginning means I have less wastage at the end when I go to comb. So one of the benefits of using the hose on a hot sunny day is that the hose water that's been resting in the long length of my hose is actually really darn hot. So that's in there, and then I'm gonna put a good spray of dish soap, and then I'm going to add hot water from the canning kettle. If you want to scour off the lanolin, it's really important that you have the water pretty hot.
see the color gradation between dark and light gray and brown as I'm picking some leftover bits of grass out of the wool. It was a very, very dirty fleece, but it was free. The fleece simply drip dries in the sunshine. I really love having a temporary rack for drying wool. I am glad I don't have to commit to storing a permanent wool drying rack. This all comes apart. The curtain is washable in the washing machine. I fold it up and I put it in a drawer for the winter. So thanks for watching. I'll be back next week with some traditional homemaking and homesteading skills. In a few weeks, I'll be back to demonstrate how I card and get this wool ready for spinning on my spinning wheel. Thanks.